Welcome back to Strides and Paces. I'm your host, Addie Ray. Trish?
And I'm Trish Robichaud. Today we have and I'm Trish Robichaud, your co-host on Strides and Paces. Today we have the honor of speaking with Nancy Becher, the founder of Invisible Warriors. Nancy is a chronic illness warrior and a passionate advocate for women veterans facing invisible disabilities. Welcome to the show, Nancy.
Thank you guys so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Let's start with your background. Can you tell us about your journey leading to the creation of Invisible Warriors?
Oh, it is very, very long. And for years, I was a business consultant and I worked with business owners who were trying to grow their companies. I then was in a hit and run car accident and lost my ability to do much of anything other than lay in bed and feel sorry for myself. At that point, after about a year and a half, I was to the point of saying, I just can't do this anymore. I just don't even want to be here anymore. And I woke up one morning, and this shows you my faith journey a little bit as well. I woke up one morning and I felt like I'd been given a slap on the back of the head, and look up and I say, "Yeah, God." And it was like I was being told, "Look, you're not dying from this. Your life has been changed dramatically. Now it's time to get up and help others so they don't find themselves in the position that you were in." So I started the organization and worked really hard for a couple of years with women who had invisible illnesses, but wasn't really getting very far, and realized, being in a military town, that there was a wide group of women right here in front of me that desperately needed my help, but didn't think that they were my audience because I didn't talk specifically about women veterans. And so in June of this year, my board and I talked and decided that we were going to, for the time being, pivot and focus on these women veterans who deal with military sexual trauma, PTSD, and of course, the invisible illnesses. And that's what we've been doing since.
So, what are some key initiatives that Invisible Warriors undertakes to support women veterans?
We're doing a lot of things right now. We're at this point, even though the organization's been around for about 3 years, we're still babies, even from the 3-year point. But from the point of working with the vets, we're only about 6 months old. However, we have an online support group that has a lot of different peer support channels where they can come in and talk and realize that they are heard, they are seen, they are worthy of things. We do training programs. We have live seminars monthly where we have specialists come in and talk on different subjects. Lots and lots of different things through our online portal. We're starting in January, we're starting an in-person peer support group for women who have PTSD and MSD here in the community. We do a weekly, what we call a briefing, which is a story about a fictitious woman who is in or has been in the military and is dealing with various issues. We talk about the things she's going through, and then we talk about strategies and tips for dealing with those things. So we're giving her help and ideas on different ways that whoever is reading the newsletter can actually find help without necessarily trying to go to a doctor. Because if you're going to the VA for your medical support, all they want to do is give you drugs. And that's not necessarily the best way to deal with this PTSD. There are a lot of other ways out there, but they're not getting the help and the support they need from the doctors that they go to. We have a gala every year where we honor and support the women veterans. This year, we're going to be having our governor's office here giving a proclamation. The proclamation is regarding an act that was written in 1948 by President Truman, which was called the Women Armed Forces Integration Act. What that means is that it was where the government actually started to legitimize women being in the military. Prior to that, of course, there was never a woman in the military. Not true, but according to the United States law, there were no women that were actually a part of the military. So in 1948, President Truman says, okay, we're actually going to realize that these women are a part and we're going to bring them into the legal services. That has become known as the Women Veterans Recognition Day, which is celebrated on June 12th every year. Sadly, only 20 of the states recognizes that day as a federal day. And in June of next year at our annual gala, the governor's office is going to be giving us a proclamation which will make Alabama the 21st state to actually recognize June 12th as a
Wow,
holiday.
congratulations. That's amazing. Oh my
Thank you.
goodness, Nancy, what an achievement. You know,
So
I
we're
I
doing a
have to
lot.
say, I hear that. Oh my God. I have to say I want to acknowledge you and your board for having the balls to just pivot and change directions after you put in so much over a couple of years. And I know you guys just we're just killing it in terms of content and activities. And that's sad that you weren't able to recruit the people who needed you a lot. But I'm really happy to hear that you've found women veterans as a new audience. And you were saying off camera that the rate of what did you call it?
MST,
Sexual.
military sexual trauma. 1 in 3 women veterans, while they are active duty, um, experience at least one event of military sexual trauma. And that could be anything from bullying. It's like in the older days when the boss would say to, hey, go fix me a cup of coffee. That's on the real mild side when they think that the women can't do anything other than just wait on them, basically, all the way up to physically raping them. 1 in 3. It's amazing.
That
Now,
is just staggering.
1 in
That is
10
just
men also have the same issue, but
wow.
it's a much larger population. So
Right. Oh my goodness. Oh, I guess it would be. Because yeah, there's just probably a lot more men than
women
women
are
in the
actually the
military.
fastest growing segment in the military.
That's exciting. That's exciting that
Yeah,
young women are getting more and more interested in serving. That's
yeah,
exciting. It's
yeah,
exciting for the military, definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. So it must be a little bit of a jump for military women who have suffered trauma to come to a place of needing support. So I'd like to know how you realized that you needed support, and let's work from
How
there.
women need the support.
No,
Um,
when did you when you realized you needed support?
oh,
What
when
did
I
you
read
go?
what
Yeah,
I've
because that's what they're going through.
I still don't think I need support. My husband keeps telling me you need to go talk to a counselor yourself, and I go, no, no, I'm fine. But that's the entire situation, really, is that these women, even after they're out of the service, they're afraid to say anything. If you extrapolate this to the general public and you look at how women in general are looked at if they claim rape or sexual assault, it's their own fault. It's they deserved it. They were asking for it. They get the people looking down their noses. Well, take that and double and triple it for women who are in the military. Because for women who are in the military, it's not only just a job, it's their life. They have certain aspects of their being that put them into this position, and it's not as though they can just go get another job. And if they actually try to claim that their supervisor or that somebody else in their unit has done this to them, they're going to be the ones that lose, get a dishonorable discharge. There's this whole camaraderie that's involved. You become a family, you become a cohesive group in order to fight these battles. Because if somebody's not on board with somebody else, it could be life and death. It's not, a paper cut in an office.
Yeah.
It's really a serious situation. So you have to blend in. You have to be a part of this cohesive group. And if you're causing trouble by saying, that guy over there, raped me, or that guy over there is just giving me all kinds of hassles, you're going to get pushed aside and you're going
Right.
to get, left behind, and that destroys the whole group. And so these women can't say anything. And so it gets internalized. And then once it's internalized, that then causes medical issues. It causes the mental health issues of PTSD.
Mhm.
PTSD does not, I am not military. My husband was 23 years in the Marine Corps, so I've lived with it. But I have PTSD from a very, very bad, different car accident than the one I was talking about earlier. But I can't get into a car and go out on our main highway here in town because that's where the accident was, and I just can't deal with it. So PTSD does not have to be from standing in the line of mortar fire. It can be anything that to you is trauma. So you have this MST, you then get the PTSD, and then you get the medical issues. You get Crohn's, you get the IBS, you get the stomach issues, you get heart issues, you get all the problems of
Not to
physical
mention mental health.
as well as the mental health. You get the physical health
Yeah.
issues. And
Yeah.
once again, if you're military, generally speaking, you go to the VA. And the VA is just so overwhelmed. They don't necessarily have, the VA is Veterans Affairs. You don't generally have, the doctors don't generally have all the necessary training. They don't understand this. And again, women are not considered to be as important as the men.
Mm.
So if a woman, I have one woman right now who's one of our clients who is trying to get, and your whole health revolves around your disability rating, and you, because you get your income based on the amount of level of your disability and the level that you were when you were in the Marines, in the military. So she's trying to get her 100% disability so that she can get financial support. In order to get that 100% disability, she has to be diagnosed with PTSD. She can't get diagnosed with PTSD because she has to be seen by a psychiatrist in order to get that diagnosis. She can't get in to see the psychiatrist because it's like a 2-year wait. So they just keep throwing her back to her general practitioner, who gives her drugs. And that's
Mm,
not what's going to help her. It's not what she
mhm,
wants.
mhm.
And it's not giving her her claim for disability. It's just
Right.
making her sicker by putting her on these drugs that
Yeah.
she doesn't want.
Wow.
So
So sad.
it's this huge, big cycle. We're here to try to figure out how to help that by going to Congress, by going to our, representatives, by passing laws, by making the community in general realize that these things are happening and they've got to change.
I think
Wow.
that
That sounds like, go ahead, Annie.
I think that story actually pivots us very well into our next question. So, what drives your passion for advocating for women veterans and women in general with chronic illnesses?
My own accident, when it took after my accident, extreme pain, couldn't walk, just was horribly depressed, and it took 6 doctors and 5 months for them to figure out I had broken bones, torn tendons, and torn ligaments. Every one of those doctors looked at the exact same MRIs, the exact same x-rays. One doctor wanted to amputate both my ankles. One doctor said there's nothing wrong, let's just do physical therapy. Another doctor said I was making it up. I mean, it was just, that's why I say doctors are not my friends. Um, but finally, the last doctor looked at the same materials that everybody else had looked at and said, well, I see what's wrong. You've got this and this and this and this. And within a week, I had had surgery. Unfortunately, the disease that I now have, which is called complex regional pain syndrome, and if you Google it, it comes up as being the most painful illness there is. It tops the ranks of every other illness out there, and it's nerve damage. If something happens and it takes longer than 6 months for you to realize that you've got this illness, this damage, it's irreversible. If you catch it within the first 5 months, they can theoretically fix it. But because they couldn't even figure out I had broken bones within that time frame, um, when they finally realized I had the RSD, it was too late. And one of the issues with RSD is that once it's in your body, if you get another illness, if you get another piece of damage to your body, it jumps on it. It goes, oh, fresh meat, And so, like where it started out in my left ankle, I now have it throughout my entire body. And so doctors now won't touch me because they're afraid if they do anything else to me, it'll go into maybe one of the few small places that I still don't have it, like my neck. I've got very serious damage in the back of my neck, and they don't want to operate because they're afraid it'll go into my neck. So I've had over 30 surgeries since that time. I have spent hours and hours and hours traveling to different doctors, going through lawsuits because my insurance stopped paying everything under the sun, damage to wheelchairs and having to fight to get a new wheelchair. I've gone through all of those things. And while doing that, I would run across other women who were telling me similar stories and
Hmm.
saying, I get what you're saying. My mom has MS. My daughter has diabetes. Yeah, it's taken me 12 years to get my diabetes under control. I finally found a doctor that has given me medicine that has got my sugar under control. But the doctors who tell me, oh, you're just fat. I weigh 150 pounds, ladies, and look at me. I look like I weigh 400 because of my diabetes. But the doctors say, it's just you're fat, quit eating. And I say, I eat one meal a day of about 400 calories. And it's not because I eat too much. But I go to all these different places and all these different doctors, and I'm hearing similar stories. And it's like the message I got in the very beginning that said, you've got to get out there and help these other women. You get it, you understand it, you're going through it, you're right there with them. Show them they're not alone. Show them that somebody cares and somebody's out there wanting to help them.
And
So that's
that's
what
a
we
perfect
started.
segue to my next question. You right from the beginning, you had a really strong vision to help women with chronic illness. Now that you've pivoted, do you have any specific visions for the future of Invisible Warriors?
Well, right now, I said I want my organization to be, and have said this from the very beginning, I want my organization to be as big as the American Diabetes Association, but I want it to be very different. I don't want the money and the resources to go to pay for the organization. I really, and so many of these organizations that are out there are research based, they've gotten away from their mission, they've gotten away from their vision and their goals, and have just now become so big that they don't really help a lot of the people. I want to be on the ground helping the people. I want to be out there supporting the women, telling them that it's okay, telling them that they're heard, they're seen, they're valued, and they matter. And I just want to do it for every woman veteran out there.
You know, before we move on to our next question, Nancy, there's something I'd like to say that came into my mind about my work when you were answering that question. Whether or not this makes it into the final cut of the segment, I don't know, but I still have to say it. I was thinking about what you were saying about wanting to be on the ground and concerned because so many organizations have gotten so big that they're not really effective, for lack of a better term, anymore. The thing it is when I look at what I want to do within my own organization, Access for All LLC, which is by its nature a for-profit organization. Still, I find myself wanting to hopefully, as I grow, be able to do both, be on the ground and do the research that furthers what's going on, because unfortunately the bigger systems, they're not doing it.
Mm-mm. No, they're not. They're not.
But I think that what you shared earlier leads us very well into our next question. With all this great work that you're doing, how do you find that your health conditions impact your daily life and work?
That's funny. 2 weeks ago was Veterans Week here, and
Mhm.
massive celebrations, everything under the sun. I did 8 events where I was either a vendor handing out materials, trying to get people to sign up for my, newsletters and my podcasts and all those things, to there were 4 vendors events. There were 3 Marine Corps birthday balls. There were 2 Veteran Day dinners. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I did 8 different things in 5 days. And I'm normally here at home, sitting in my jammies in front of the computer. And if I want to go lay down, I can go lay down, take a nap, whatever. I wasn't home. I didn't see my home in 5 days' time. And this week is getting to be another week just like that. So my vice president tells me to be careful what I ask for because we are getting so busy. And basically, I'm the only one here. I have board members around the country that do different things, but most of the actual activity is done here in the Huntsville area. And I can, as long as I'm up and going, Trish was saying earlier, mindset and positivity, as long as I'm doing something in support of these women, I'm okay. But the minute I stop, I'm not only exhausted, I'm sick. I have massive stomach issues. I'm in extreme pain. And it just sort of all implodes. And I'm in bed for a week. And
So basically, when you have things you have committed to, you push through it, and your body then, when you're done, crashes on you.
yeah,
Right.
we were supposed to do this a week ago, and I felt so bad because I had to say I couldn't do it. But you would not have gotten this level of energy out of me. I would have been like this the whole time because I push myself to the limit because I don't want to. I believe if I've made a commitment, I believe I need to do it. And, I don't do things for myself. I would love to go get a manicure. I would love to just go and sit and have a cup of coffee someplace and talk to friends. Can't think of the last time that ever happened. If I'm doing something, I'm doing it in support of IW and of these women. And so it's the worst thing in the world to me to not do something that I've committed to do. But because of that, I do things that I shouldn't do. And then I wind up at the point where I can't do them anymore. And so
Hmm.
my own health is really an issue that I need to start taking more awareness of.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, because I would inject or suggest that your multiple illnesses that creep up when you're done is really a direct reflection of your level of activity.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and I know it is, but there's no
yeah,
one. I need this to
yeah,
happen for these women. I am so this,
right.
this is I want the American diabetes size in 5 years. We're already 3 years into it. I've got limited time. I got limited time in my own health, and so
Right.
I've got to do these things if I want to accomplish what I want to accomplish. And I can be sick later.
Oh my God. What advice would you give to women veterans who are currently facing these kinds of challenges?
My advice would be find groups like what we do. Find people to talk to. If you're local to the Huntsville area, come to our peer support groups. If you're doing, if you're around the country doing other things, then do them. But the biggest thing that you cannot do is internalize it. Find
Yeah,
somebody that you can talk to, share with, and totally understand that there really are other people out there that care about you and want to help you succeed and be the phrase that we use is we want you to thrive, not just survive.
beautiful. Before we wrap up, I just want to say, really impressed with the work you're doing with veterans, with men veterans. And it's actually, this is the first time I've ever heard of an organization supporting women veterans.
There are very few. There are very few. There's a few, but again, they don't do much. It's
Mm,
funny because it seems like we started doing ours and now others are popping up. So they're seeing. I said I don't know
that's
whether
good.
I don't know whether I appreciate that or whether they're trying to take over. But the more the merrier. If we can get more
Yeah,
organ.
absolutely. Because it's all about the women getting
Yep,
support
yep.
with whatever vehicle they can. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. Anyways, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Addie.
Thank you, Nancy, for joining us. And before we um close out, there is a phrase that I like to say at the end of every episode, and it goes, disability comes with ability. This is a phrase that really embodies the strengths and resilience found within our community, meaning the disability and chronic illness community. And I'd like to remind everyone to embrace your unique abilities.
Yes, thank you everybody for tuning in. And Nancy, thank you so much for being here. Your story is not only inspiring, but relatable to, I'm sure, well, 1 in 3 women veterans, which is a staggering number. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye,
that's it for this
everybody.
week. Bye, folks.